It's never too early to hand out an award or two, right? Well, on today's PHNX Suns show, we're projecting and getting the crystal ball out which Suns players will win which awards this season. All coming at you after this. What's up? What's happening? Welcome into the PHNX Suns show. It is Wednesday, my dudes. I'm Gil. We got the freckled Mamba behind the Mac and Steven to my right, holding it down for Eric, who will be back soon enough. Keep enjoying your time off, Eric. And it is a great day. We got a lot coming towards. You know why today is such a great day in my mind, though?
Because Colin Gillespie is a very good defender.
That's one of the reasons, yeah. Also, do you know that 2 months from today, what we'll be doing?
What is that?
Watching Phoenix Suns basketball. Today is August 5th, and on October 5th,
I'm so lost in the calendar.
the Suns will be open to preseason basketball on October 5th. So don't worry, y'all. We'll get there. But in the meantime, there's a big Mercury game tonight. We'll have more on that. We'll talk about that on the way out here. But today, we're talking about what's going on this season. We're handing out some way too early awards. Now, to be clear, this isn't us saying that Dillon Brooks is going to be the defensive player of the year in the league or as a candidate, but we're talking about who will be the Suns' DPOY, who will be the Suns' most improved player, this, that, and the third. We have a lot of fun award categories and some rapid fire at the end. Before we get into the awards in the first one, Stephen, how are you on this glorious Wednesday as the 2-month countdown begins before preseason basketball is back?
Yeah, I'm excited. It feels like the sun is slowly rising on the 2026-27 NBA
sun is slowly
season.
rising, huh? Mm-hmm.
You see it. Sometimes the poetry just writes itself. But I'm genuinely looking forward to this season because the Suns have set a standard. They set a precedent for themselves. And with that comes accountability. And you're being held to account of the standard that you've shown to be able to set for yourself. It's not going to be easy to even just get back to neutral on 45 wins and whatever seed that 45 wins might get you. To say that you want to go and one-up yourself even in the slightest bit, even if it's just 46, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some ironing out of kinks. It's going to take some evolution and process. It's going to take some doubling and tripling down on principles. And more than anything, just the execution level. And I think what we're doing today, thought exercise-wise, it helps to kind of put some kind of tangible things to some of the points of growth that the team needs to make. And if they do have some of that internal development that we've spoken to a lot this offseason, and Brian Gregory and Matt Ishbia in particular have spoken to that, we should be seeing some hotly contested races for multiple awards that we'll be bringing up in today's conversation.
That's the thing that's so good about it because it's healthy competition. If you have multiple guys worthy of winning some of the categories that we're talking about, that means you have a good thing going this season. And, of course, speaking of awards, an award goes out to all of the guys and ladies and gentlemen in the chat hanging out with us here. Big shout out to everybody hanging out with us this afternoon. I meant happy Wednesday to most of y'all. Happy Thursday to Ashley down under, who is in the future. Lonnie in the chat.
Shout out Lonnie.
In Stacker in the chat as well.
Ashley, you can't brag about that and not be able to
help us out.
Cash in on the goods.
Help us out. Help us out from the future for sure. I guess in some ways, if like you're like one step closer to Suns basketball in the preseason as well. Patrick also in the chat. Shout out to you hanging out with us here on this Wednesday/Thursday. Shout out to all of our friends down under today. Now, we get straight into the awards, and the first two should be pretty obvious. We'll start with this one. If the Suns are going to have anything this year, the only person who should be, barring anything crazy that we hope never happens, Devin Booker is going to be the MVP this season. He's been the MVP for this franchise for basically since he joined it, and he will continue to be the MVP for this franchise as long as he's with it. So not much conversation with that. But the one that gets interesting, though, the Suns Coach of the Year this upcoming season. I think Jordan Knott, he won't be a first year coach anymore next season. So I'm thinking that he should be the coach of the year for this team in 26-27.
I sure hope so.
But in all seriousness, though, we talked a lot about Jordan Knott, a guy who we felt was lower on the scale of the NBA's Coach of the Year voting for what he did as a first-year coach with the injuries and everything that he had to navigate, things being cleaned up for him. In year two, Jordan Knott on the sidelines, that continuity starts with him. This is the first time in a while that this franchise has been able to go into 2 consecutive seasons with the same head coach.
Devin Booker's breathed a sigh of relief.
Right, exactly. Who, by the way, is a basketball genius and sees the game very differently than a lot of his peers, quite frankly, and that's going to help him because, we joke a lot about how everybody wanted to emphasize that it was his first season as a head coach, and a lot of times you couldn't really tell, and everybody has their bumps and bruises. Every coach, and we talked about this, and I compared him to, remember when people were being super critical of him, what else is new? But then I asked some people in the chat, who do you think the best coaches in the league are? And then I asked them, well, do you think that they were this good in year one? And if you stack them in year one next to Jordan Knott in year one, what would that conversation be like? So when you go from year one to year two, you have to be encouraged by everything that he was doing when he was also learning on the fly, because it's one thing to see it as an assistant coach, but another to be the man in charge that's making the final decisions.
Yeah, and when you make those comparisons that you're bringing up, look at some of the talent that some of these coaches had
also true.
In their very first season compared to a lesser extent the crop of talent that Jordan Knott had to work with and the lack of continuity with roster, yet alone the coach being brand new. Like, he just wasn't playing the same game that other coaches were in their first seasons, and that should continue to kind of uplift his impact on what he did in his first season. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to see what the players do to evolve the process, but I think it's also going to be interesting to see what Jordan Knott adds to what it is that was their foundation season last year. Naturally, humility is something that he wears quality-wise loudly, and anytime he's usually given credit for something, he usually immediately not deflects, but acknowledges his part in it, but gives much more credit, like 95% of the credit to the chess pieces on the board that he's enabled an opportunity to play with. It's understandably so, but that's on him to do that. It's on us to make sure we acknowledge him, give him his props for, the work that he's done. So for me, do you think he can be another top 5, top 6, top 7 coach of the year candidate in his second season?
Yes, because I think he can. I mean, obviously, I think he can, and I think the path toward doing that is this team again exceeding expectations, because we've heard it. We talked last week about some of the expectations and why this team is falling again in power rankings and in win expectations or projected win totals. And it's a combination of people looking at this past season as a fluke, and a combination of that and people saying, well, everybody in the West got better. Did you get better? Did everybody else have an anomaly of a year? Or did you have an aberration last season and that you overachieved and you aren't going to catch anybody off guard anymore? Well, they have another opportunity to catch people off guard again if they're being slept on again. And the haters could be right. They were wrong last year. The haters have been right before. They weren't right last year. Can you prove them wrong yet again? Or more importantly, can you prove yourself right? Because if there are tens of thousands of people out there that are detracting what the Suns have going on, there's at least 30 people in that locker room, 50 people in that building who believe in what they have going on and building on it. You think back to what Colin Gillespie said about, hey, we think that we could have been a 52, 55 win team if we were just healthy this year. And now we're going into it, looking at it from our perspective and thinking, personally, I think there probably will be between 43 and 47 wins. A team that shouldn't be worse than they were last season. Knock on wood, it's hard to have worse injury luck than you had last season. And then you have a coach who, humility, chip on your shoulder. And I want to give a shout out to his coaching staff as well, because most head coaches, any head coach that is a humble head coach will say that they're only as good as their coaching staff is. And we saw today on social media a picture of Mateen Cleaves in the gym with Ryan Dunn. And we talk about the impact that all these different guys, whether it's Coach Mermies, whether, we saw in Summer League with Chase and Allen, like all of these different guys having their impact. Mike Muscala, we could talk about all the different members of their coaching staff and support staff. that impact this team and allow Jordan Knott to be the best version of himself. And in turn, he can get the most out of this group. So from top to bottom, it's a very, very strong coaching staff that checks a lot of boxes that allows you to get the most out of your unit.
100%. And the way you ended that is how I was going to start. What I had to say next is maximizing your group's potential.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would hesitate in saying that that's what Jordan Knott did last season in his first season with that group, even navigating injuries and navigating a bunch of other things, minutes restrictions and a plan with Mark Williams, all of that stuff, all of it included, maxed out. Probably maxed out more than people thought was the actual maxing out that he could in terms of last season. So can you go and do that again this season? What does that look like? What tweaking of process and approach is it going to take for him to be able to do that? How quickly do they get to striking some consistency within that relative to what this season's demands will be for the team? I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out, but I do know that two kind of bits of things that will be telltales on just how well is he maximizing the group comprehensively is the two additions. Obviously start with Luke Kennard and the shooting. Everybody talks about wanting him to up his three-point volume. I think he's in an ecosystem that will naturally do that. You put that ecosystem in tandem with saying, hey, Luke, I want you to also go and hunt out a couple more of these types of shots. I can see him doing that and then some. And then to the Miles Bridges portion, just being sharp mentally. He has all the skill in the world to be a top-tier role player and potentially punching up out of that weight class depending on matchups and depending on what his game rhythm is. Can you put it all together? We've seen Miles be a good playmaker. We've seen him be a solid defender. Seen him be a really good rebounder. Seen him be a 20-point-per-game scorer. Can you put it all together? Can the ecosystem allow for him to do that? I think that's kind of where I'm at right now with assessing those kind of early tangible things, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
How much of a hindrance, if any, do you think Ott being in his second season will have on Coach of the Year conversations? I know it sounds kind of crazy saying it out loud, but we know how much storylines and emotion come into play when we're voting for National Basketball Association awards. So do you think that has an effect? Because a lot of the stuff we'd say he would do good last year, and the bow would be tied with him being a first-year head coach. So do you think that will have any effect on how people look at him this year?
I think it's two-parter, right? One, it does kind of feel like what we have going on here in the southwest corner, kind of tucked away. Nobody's really paying attention to it unless you like scream at them and make them look at it. I think there's so many people who, even with me having conversations back home or with people from home, like, oh, the Suns are 8 games over 500 right now. The Suns are 12 games over 500 right now. The Suns are projected to be a playoff team. It was just kind of one of those things where people were waiting for this team to fall off. And I think now the conversation is, oh, okay, well, that was fun last year, but they're going to go back to where we expected them to be. And people aren't paying it much mind anymore. And I do think that there are going to be some punchier storylines next season. Can Utah make a jump from the doldrums of being this tanking franchise, and like what will Will Hardy do with all this talent that's now been bestowed upon him and making a team? So we know that Coach of the Year is oftentimes either one, most improved team award, or it's like who's got the most impressive storyline. So that's a great point that you mentioned, Aryton, as far as like the storylines don't necessarily become as punchy, because if last year's team won 50 games, it's punchy. But this team was good. They were very solid, but they weren't great. And I think that kind of allowed people or kept people from seeing the job he did for what it actually was.
I think a part of the storyline slowing down, too, for Ott was that back half of the season. If they would have flipped,
True.
I know we talk about it all the time, but if they would have flipped, I think that momentum riding into the end of the season would have helped him a lot more.
If January had happened in March.
Exactly.
Sure.
I agree.
I think to your point that you're bringing up, Aryton, and to what you mentioned too, Gil, usually it feels like Coach of the Year is tied to an MVP candidate in some capacity. Naturally, to the point you brought up, Aryton, the lens that people are looking at, okay, MVP caliber player, someone that's firmly in that conversation, that means your team has to be so good to an extent to where they're always involved in those conversations. Maybe it takes one of those close to the 30-point-per-game seasons from Devin Booker with the assisting impact to wake people up on just how good Jordan Knott is with this coaching thing and how good he is so early in his head coaching career in specific.
It's interesting. And I think that when we have this conversation, which we'll get to the Suns awards, it'll be curious, like interesting and fascinating to see which Suns player or coach is most likely to win an end-of-season award league-wide. But specific to the Suns, we're going to give our way too early Phoenix Suns end-of-season awards before the season, and we're doing it after our first break. No matter how big or small, the Window Depot is your home improvement partner for every project. And you know what, Steven? They're more than just a window store. Windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops, they stock more and you spend less. No wait times, no gimmicks, just everyday low pricing and ready to go inventory.
No need to spend that?
No need to spend that. You're going to save money at the Window Depot. They're beating any price because factory direct prices cannot be beat. You can visit thewindowdepot.com and get started on your next project today. Whether you live in Phoenix, Surprise, Chandler, Tucson, or Marana, you can stop by one of the Window Depot's 8 Arizona locations and see for yourself why they're way more than just a window store. Stop in or give the Window Depot a call, and their team will help you get exactly what you need. Browse and order directly at thewindowdepot.com with real-time access to in-stock products at your nearest location to get what you need when you need it. And of course, there are plenty amazing real estate agents in Arizona, but one sits at the top, and her name is Kim Caballero. Now, Kim had been working in the Arizona business realm for over 25 years, but now she is helping Arizona families with both buying and selling. With a network of investors, builders, and developers, she'll give you insider insight on property potential, helping you see opportunities that others just might miss. When you work with Kim, your interests are always her top priority, and you'll never get passed off to another agent. Kim has proven strategies to help both buyers and sellers secure the best possible terms, and she will guide you every step of the way. Kim and her husband have lived here in Arizona for over 25 years, and she understands what truly matters when choosing a home. Let Kim put her local expertise to work for you. Call Kim Caballero today at 480-489-5012. That's 480-489-5012, and let her know that Gil and Steven from PHNX Suns sent you. Back here at PHNX Suns, getting ready to start dishing out some way too early preseason, end of season awards. We'll get to it in a second, but we do have a question from Spike, who is on the topic of coaching. Asked all three of us, if Jordan Ott were to reach in his bag for a double big lineup, who would be the best option in our opinions? Mark Williams and Oso Ighodaro. Mark Williams and Kaman Malawach, or Oso Ighodaro and Kaman Malawach? Steve, what do you think?
This is an interesting.
I think it's either B or C. I don't think A is the option.
Yeah, I don't think A is the option either.
I'll start because I feel very strongly about this. I think.
Well, we're on the same page, sir.
It's Oso and Kaman.
Yeah, I was going that route too. I think the combination of skill that Oso has with potential and skill that Kaman has, as well as the complement of size, is something that could really help a team if they're able to get to a certain level in their individual skill sets to where those skills that they have truly do complement each other. So I'm going with C on that. I think Kaman and Oso could be a fun double big lineup construct to work around, but they have to be so good in their individual skills that it don't give teams an opportunity to poke at that duo.
I'm with you on that, and I think it also can give you a glimpse of the future because these are two guys who we anticipate and we hope are teammates for their entire careers, hopefully, but years and years and years to come, two members of your young core. So that's interesting. And I'll answer your question real quick, Spike. Another one, you said, if you can't get one of your most important players to stop getting technical fouls, then how much control do you actually have on your team? And my question back to you is, do you tell a lion to not roar? There you go. Speaking of the leader in
don't tell a dog to not bark.
Exactly. Speaking of the leader in technical fouls and a couple of the bigs that we are talking about, here are the 4 nominees for way too early Defensive Player of the Year. And they are Dillon Brooks, Jordan Goodwin, Kaman Malawach, and Mark Williams. When you think about these guys and their respective cases, what comes to mind and who does your vote go to?
Yeah, what comes to mind is just guys that understand what individual matchups ask for, guys that understand how to help someone else that's on the basketball, so being in support defensively, whether it's just showing a body early in a gap to take away the processing of a Shea or an Anthony Edwards, and things like that, to just take away just the presentation part of it. And then the impact on top of that, being able to not just show, but also impact things within it all. It just be really rough and rugged with the blue collarness. I will say who I would love for it to be before I answer who I think it will be. Mm-hmm. I would love for it to be Mark Williams. Mm-hmm. That means that he will have been healthy enough, and the impact will have grown past what it already showed to have been last season, which will help this team get to more than 45 wins and get to the top 6. I think it's Jordan Goodwin, though.
Yes.
And I think it's Jordan Goodwin because the things that he showed to do last season defensively aren't necessarily any different than what we've seen from him in years past. But what is different is the runway that he was not given, but the runway that he earned, the runway that he went and snatched. Gave him one chance, gave him one stint. This guy gave him one stint, and that man flipped that stint into what ended the season as just an outright starter, one of the top 5 players in impact on the team. I just can't see him losing that particular impact, but also having the familiarity and system and the rapport built up with Jordan not to continue on with that beaten path he established last season.
That's great to think about because last year he was, in a lot of ways, playing for his NBA life. For the majority of his career, literally the entirety of his career, he's been playing for his NBA life, and he's been able to perform while playing for his NBA life. Yeah. Now, and as Brian Gregory so eloquently said about both Jordan Goodwin and Colin Gillespie when he was congratulating them and talking about them both receiving their well-earned paydays, they aren't just going to get these paydays and become different players and not be dogs anymore and stop working. In fact, that comfort might make them work even harder because you know what's expected of you and you have seen the other side of it before. You know what it's like to not know how many more days you have left in this league. Now you know you're going to be here home for the next 3 seasons, if not longer, and they want me to do this and be this, kind of, again, like a lion roaring. Jordan Goodwin is expected to do this from day one. He's going to be called upon to do this. Understanding the defensive versatility. Some nights he's going to be tasked with guarding a point guard, point of attack guy. Some nights he's going to be guarding up and guarding a 3 or a 4. I had Al Horford fans mad at me in my mentions for posting a video of Jordan Goodwin standing him up in the post last year because Al Horford, who, by the way, is like 6 or 7 inches taller than Jordan Goodwin, scored it in the next possession. It happens. Sometimes you're going to get yours. Sometimes you're going to get got. But Jordan Goodwin is going to get his much more than he gets got, and I'm with you on him being the defensive player of the year, which is incredible to think about his career path, but also the fact that we don't know how many games he's going to start versus coming off the bench. But as we anticipate him being a key member of the second unit, but also the closing unit with his defense, I can see him making game-winning plays with his defense, especially in clutch time this year, and that is DPOY.
Can I throw in 2 honorable mentions that I'd like to hear you guys talk about? Do we think, because we talk about the leaps being made by potentially defensively Rasheer Fleming and Ryan Dunn, does the leap that we are expecting put them into Suns DPOY conversations for next year? Like if Rasheer makes the jump that we all think/hope he makes, is he going to end up being a better defender than one of the 3 guys on this list right now?
I could see Rasheer having a better defensive season than Kaman, just because I think the demand on Kaman is different than the demand on Rasheer. And we've also just seen the proof of concept with Rasheer already in multiple instances too. So I could see him getting into that conversation, and if he does, and even if he doesn't, the other name you brought up with Ryan Dunn, look at the position that those guys typically defend. Those are all 2, 3, 4 type defenders. That's where all the goods are defensively in the modern NBA. You still need rim protection, but your best rim protection is just guarding the basketball. If guys aren't getting to the cup comfortably, and then if they are getting past the guy or somewhat winning on a drive, and you got to deal with one of those other names that's helping in some capacity, like there's a webbiness to defense that's kind of growing in terms of how teams are figuring it out in this modern era with spacing and the top tier skills that offensive guys have. So, yeah, I think even if those guys are just somewhat in the conversation, that means that the Suns are where they need to be defensively. Good point.
It's funny to see Lonnie's comment, by the way, said Goodwin is our new Barbosa. with defense. Fun, obviously, like not one for one at all, but fun to think about him the same way he electrifies the crowd and stuff.
For sure.
Ryan is an interesting one for me when you point that out, Aryton, just with what we've seen his capability of doing and the fouling. Both of those guys have had problems with fouling, as many young players do, but harnessing that and also the tandem that they've become sometimes, being able to play off of one another. I think they understand what they are capable of doing, but a lot of it is just learning the game and figuring out how to harness those strengths on that end of the floor. And that takes time for guys. Defense is a lot of know-how, a lot of want to, a lot of skills and gifts, but it's a lot of IQ as well. And I think some guys just have that ability and have that knowledge. You see guys like Jordan Goodwin and even older players who still are good defenders, despite losing some of their athleticism, they still have their strength. I think to what Draymond Green did against Kawhi Leonard in the play-in tournament, a lot of that is just mental. And those guys picking that up, which I trust that they will, and that goes back to what we talk about with coaching and development. It'll be intriguing to see how that timeline works out for those guys and how that goes for them. And
Jordan Goodwin is to the Suns what Marcus Smart was to the Celtics and what Alex Caruso is to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That
great.
Swiss Army knife type dude. Special type of guys cut from a very specific cloth. And it's a rare thing across the league.
Absolutely. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if any of those guys were to make a leap defensively, but our next award is going to be the surprise leap of the year. And the three nominees are an Oso Ighodaro jump shot, a Devin Booker three-point bump that we've been waiting for a while, or Miles Bridges being a little bit of a different player that we saw him as in Charlotte and being even more of a playmaking hub than we think he's capable of being. What would be the biggest surprise for you, or what biggest surprise are you anticipating happening this year?
So it wouldn't be a surprise to me because I detailed that specific skill set in Miles Bridges' film session I did immediately after the Suns traded for him.
Is there a level of playmaking that it would be a surprise? Like if he's averaging like a career high in assists?
I think if he got up to like 7 assists a game, that would surprise me.
So
that would surprise me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's firmly capable of getting up to 5. I think even 6 with a team like the Suns. They can shoot the 3 ball so well, with so many different guys are also having a big like Mark or Oso that he could potentially be playing with as well.
Yeah.
So I can see like 5 or 6 a game and the impact that comes with that. But if he's at like 7 or 7 and some change, I would really starting to surprise me with how well it's sustaining. So I'm going with that for me. I'll go with the Miles Bridges playmaking. But what I will say, too, is I think Devin Booker's three-point bump might go in tandem with Miles Bridges in his playmaking, because if Devin doesn't have to make or take as many pull-ups because he's taking a little bit more on the catch-and-shoot side, which I feel like he's just naturally a better guy shooting the ball with in that context of play. Now you're talking about maximizing a group, which goes back to our conversation at the beginning of the show.
So I will go with the zag of your zig and say I'll go with the Booker three-point bump. Yeah. But Miles' playmaking, I think, being in a new circumstance and a new situation will pay dividends for him and a new offensive ecosystem that we talked about so much in the first segment. But, you know, I'm buying into the narrative a little bit, but Book did find the jumper a little bit more in that stretch after the three-point contest, and there was points in time where we were like, oh, did the three-point contest fix him when other people feel like they're broken by it? But knowing that the three-point contest is going to be here next year, knowing that that's a big deal for him and he's talking about it and he's basically signed up for being in it already, I'm going with that Devin Booker three-point shooting bump as being basically, and this is, again, like, you know, we're talking about Devin Booker as if like he wasn't a bum from beyond the arc. He shot 33% from deep last year. 2 years prior was his, average 30. He shot 36.4 in 23-24. His career high from deep, 38.3%, done twice in his career in 2018 and in 2022. If we could get that 33 back to 37, which I don't think is far-fetched at all, which changes a lot. If he's doing it at the same volume and the ecosystem having the flow that we expect it to have, he might be averaging 27, 28 a game this upcoming season. Or maybe he's still averaging 26, but the 26 looks different because that shooting at that clip that he's shooting it at gives the lineup the shooting that people are afraid that it's not going to have. And then everything else flows and just makes this team a big key, a big tenet of what will allow them to be successful this season.
I'll go ahead and say this, man. If Devin, so what held Devin's 3-point percentage back last season, because he was very good on catch and shoots, is just the catch and shoot was literally one of the lowest percentile on volume in the league. Because he had to take so many pull-ups and it just wasn't happening. He was sub 30% on his pull-ups in particular. It just kind of drug the overall percentage down some. So if he's able to get up to 36, 37-ish% on those pull-up threes, he's averaging 30. Because you put that in tandem with taking 7 and some change on the free throw attempt side, and the midi continuing to be what it has been and sustained at for the last 7 years at this point. That's a 4-level scorer right there that has all the answers to Shay's point to the test, and it's just a matter of which questions being posed by each opponent every given night. So I don't think 30 is out the realm, but the only thing holding him back is the pull-up 3 in particular. If he's knocking that down, that takes his impact to maybe 2 or 3 heights and level that it just wasn't at last season. And that naturally makes the team that much better too.
For sure. And Ashley, I know you're saying, we know Book can bump up and Miles, is talented. Also, jumper is the only correct answer. That is why it isn't the answer, because I think that's the one that we least expect to happen. I think that if it were to happen, it would be the biggest surprise, but this is kind of blending our anticipated surprise. And I think that if Oso was to add that to his game, I don't think it would be this season. I think I think that's a project that would take, if it happened this year, it'd be on the back end of the year, but I think this is something that's a couple years in the making. I'm not going to write it off and say it's not something that's going to develop, but if he can perfect the push shot first and then build on that, I think the first belief with him would be getting the free throw right. I don't know, Aryton, if there's any other nominees or something that you would think is a worthy surprise that we see development-wise with this team this upcoming season.
No, my mind just keeps going to, if Oso gets that jumper, what are people going to be able to hate on him for?
They'll find
ways.
Yeah, they'll find something. Tell you what, I'm already envisioning Oso doing all of this work on shooting the basketball, and he gets caught in a grenade situation where he just has to, and he cashes out, and that's just the confidence boost that takes him, where he needs to get to as far as that goes in his development. I'm looking forward to when that moment comes. I think it might end up happening this season, but we'll see.
It's kind of funny, too. My last thought before we go into our next break is that archetype of player that Oso is, and he's very unique in himself, but there is a range of guys who kind of do the things that he does well. I know at one point I mentioned Isaiah Hartenstein because he has the push shot, because of his playmaking ability. Physically, they're very different, but when you look at old pictures of Isaiah Hartenstein, he was built a lot like how Oso is built now, which is kind of mind-blowing to think. But how many guys like that have the jumper that people kind of want Oso to try to develop? Because I can't think of that many.
Not many, because if they did, they would just be top 5 type guys in the league or all NBA level in some capacity. So it's rare for a reason. But I think that should also make people appreciate having the impact that Oso has with having some or not having some of the things flashy skill set wise that usually get people the attention that he potentially could get.
So we've handed out Defensive Player of the Year for the Suns preemptively, 2027, Jordan Goodwin. Preemptively saying that the biggest surprise that we anticipate, I say Devin Booker, 3-point bump. You say Miles Bridges, playmaking being even better than we ever saw it in Charlotte, and there's an agreement that both of those go hand in hand. But we're just getting started with these awards. After our next break, we're coming back with Most Improved Player, and we can't have a conversation about the Suns and not talk blue collar after our next break. Mountain America Credit Union is the exclusive home of the PHNX Suns card. And you can get these elite Suns cards from the official credit union of the PHNX Suns. And they're available as both a debit and a credit card. You can pair that Suns debit card with My Style Checking. You know what that offers you, Steven?
Tell me.
Benefits like telehealth, loan rate discounts. And for those of you who can be careless or clumsy, mobile phone protection. And their credit cards, no annual fee. And they're available as low rate, cash back, or rewards cards. Mountain America is here to guide you forward on your financial journey. So you can get your Suns card today by applying at any of Mountain America Credit Union's Arizona branches. You can visit macu.com/Suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA, terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit. If you're involved in an accident or a serious injury, you need to do your research, because the lawyer that you hire does matter. And that research is going to bring you to Mark and Alexis Breyer, who make up the husband and wife law team. Phoenix is their home. It's where they raise their 8 children and where their focus is always on client results and giving back to the community. The team brings hundreds of years of combined trial experience, and while they can't guarantee the outcome of a legal case, they can make some promises to you that they are going to uphold and keep. And among those promises is that you will receive at least as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they have to reduce their attorney's fee to do so. So if you have had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841. That's 602-783-8841. Or visit their website at the link in our show notes and tell them that the guys at PHNX Suns sent you. Welcome back to PHNX Suns, working through our way too early 2026-27 Phoenix Suns awards. To recap you once again, we said that Devin Booker should and will be MVP of this team, and Jordan Goodwin should and will be the coach of the year for this team, and should again be in the league-wide coach of the year conversation. Jordan Goodwin for defensive player of the year, and the surprise of the year will be Miles Bridges' playmaking and a 3-point bump from Devin Booker. Now, this is the interesting one. This is an exciting one. We talk so much about internal development. Well, what will be the product of that internal development? I'm the person who will scream to anyone who's willing to listen that the NBA itself has lost the spirit and what most improved player actually means. But we here at PHNX Suns have not. Our 3 candidates for most improved player on the Phoenix Suns in 2026-27, Rasheer Fleming, Ryan Dunn, and Jalen Green. Steven, when you think about these guys and the cases that they could put together with the potential leaps they could make in their respective games, who do you project will be the most improved on this Suns team next season?
I think it's going to be Mr. Green.
Okay.
I think there's going to be demand on his skill set and the growth within the weaponry that he works with to understand the picking of spots.
And real quick,
Go ahead.
I'm seeing Big Harry Adventure's question, or what he said about people being too critical of Jalen Green. I think that's a great point. And I'm curious, when you talk about most improved, is it most improved based on what we've seen his entire career or what we saw last year?
I think it's specific to his Suns team.
Suns
what we
team,
saw last season. So I think we saw some good. We saw some not so good from Jalen. In the playoffs, we saw about as much as we could ask for from him, especially through the play-in realm in particular. So finding a way to make that more consistent, make that more mainstream, more streamlined. And I think he's well set up to do that. He showed to be, even in the small sample size we have of him in last season, be coachable, be adaptable, not looking to attack the game the same way every single game. It looks different when Book has it going versus when Book might not have it going, but Jalen understanding that he can still play off the gravity of Devin Booker like he did in that game against Portland, and took it to an even further extent against the Golden State Warriors in that second play-in game. So I think he naturally gets that just off of being more healthy. Now, couldn't find any, but yeah, we got the pegs underneath the chairs. Knock on wood that continues to what I expect for it to be for him. But if he is just on the court, he's naturally going to be significantly better than he showed to be last season.
It's interesting with Jalen Green. That's the one that needs to be, and that's what has been said in the chat. He has the most talent, and I will come out and say this. It kind of oftentimes goes against what I believe. I'm strongly against number 2 overall picks or top 3 picks earning consideration like that. However, a guy who's in their second season in a new franchise and also going into their 6th season in the NBA, the conversation around him, I've seen some of it. I've seen some people react to things that I've said about him or whatever, but it's a narrative thing. There's so many people who have typecasted him into being this form or this version of a player, and they think that he's reached his ceiling potentially. If he can break through that, not only will that be big for him in his career, we talk about the contract year aspect of it as well, but this team's ceiling is in a lot of ways determined by that. So you mentioned the Portland game earlier today, and later in this show we'll talk about that Indiana Pacers game where he and Book combined for 79 points. Jordan figuring out the best ways to allow them to both be the best versions of themselves next to one another. Jalen Green figuring those things out. The game slowing down for him. A young player still. Still 24 years old.
He plays like a 24-year-old too in the athleticism.
Right. And like so many things, and we've seen so many ways that he puts in work after practice. And one of the things that we talked about was him getting more strength, and that's something that just naturally happens as you get older, to absorb and play through contact. And naturally, you're going to be better defensively as well, just with more physicality. So Jalen Green being the most improved player is something that I anticipate, something that I hope to see as well. Now, I do want to take time to talk about, because some people were talking about Kaman Malawach. I think that's a great answer, but also that definitely goes against the spirit of it, because him making a leap next year would be what he's supposed to do. Jalen Green might not make a leap, and he would still be an 18 and 20 point per game scorer, and everybody would be like, oh, he is who he is. But him becoming a more evolved player would be big improvement. But when you think about the young guys, second and third year guys, Ryan Dunn, Rasheer Fleming, Kaman Malawach, improvement for them, I think that raises the Suns' floor where Jalen Green raises the ceiling. And Kaman Malawach can do both, but I think that those guys specifically are floor raisers.
I think that's perfectly said. There's just a different pecking order and role that those guys are playing, to where certain guys' impact for relative to what skill sets they bring to the game is just going to hit the team in a different way than some of the role players would. So, yeah, that was perfectly said by you. I'll just mention Ryan Dunn as someone that is a prime candidate for that most improved. I think he has.
You think it's offense with him?
Yes.
Consistency?
Yes, because I think Jordan Knott is going to continue to extend opportunity by way of the things he's shown to do consistently. And that's be just a very, very good point of attack defender with some athleticism that allows him to also be impactful as a helper. If he's able to streamline that with the offense being more consistent in mindset more than anything else, might just see somebody that firmly claims like a 7th or 8th or 9th man point in the rotation in some capacity.
I agree. I'm thinking about Ryan. We've seen a lot of him in the gym this offseason, the pull-up stuff he's working on, which I don't expect him to do in a game, but that means the jumper is getting better. The form is there. The confidence is there in that shot. And, again, I mentioned earlier him working out with Mateen Cleaves. There is a direct understanding of what is going to be expected of him. And there are going to be some really tough training camp battles with all of these wings because there are a lot of minutes to grab for those guys. Aryton, I don't know if there's anybody else who you think or you would like to see a big jump or improvement from, or is it really just this group of young guys?
No, I was waiting for you guys to bring up the Kaman caveat because I knew people were going to bring that up, and I know you guys' thoughts on it, so yeah.
Right, yeah. A 19-year-old in his second season, I'm not ready to say, like, if we're like talking like year 4 to year 5 and man hasn't made the leap yet, we're having some other issues there. But he's right on schedule right now, so his improvement would be on path for that one.
Just an outside-the-box thought. Jordan Knott could be in the most improved conversation too.
Yeah.
And we know if anybody's been in the lab in their respective role with the team, he's definitely been in the lab, just trying to figure out how to be better in process and approach and teaching of the game and establishing those principles.
And Dre, you make a good point. There are a lot of second and third year guys who don't necessarily improve as you expect them to. But I think it's just like for me, it's just like a first 3-year thing, just exclusion, because Ja was a second overall pick. I think he got it in year 3 because he went from being a star to a borderline superstar, which it's kind of weird for me.
Julius Randle was like
Julius
before
Randle
him,
got
right?
that as well. So interesting.
Brandon
So
Ingram got it too, I think.
Yeah, Brandon gotten it as well, excuse me. But so there's some guys who have gotten it, and I agree. He was a number 2 overall pick. Julius Randle was a 6th pick, and he was different because it was situationally. So I can kind of let Julius Randle slide since he got it when he was in New York. And Brandon Ingram, too, went from L.A. to New Orleans. But a lot of the ways the new scenery helped those guys. So I think with Kaman, Dre, is such a specific thing with him because his ascension to be an NBA player, having only been playing the game for several years, he is improving at a more rapid rate than you could argue anybody else in the league. But yes, so it's not that I'm expecting him to do it, but history and trends would suggest that he is, but definitely deserves some recognition if he were to make the leap that he makes, because we'll be very happy, one, and the ceiling would also go up because it gives this team a lot of flexibility. This next one is one that typically wouldn't need much conversation, but it is one that is tailored for you preemptively handing out the 2026-27 Blue Collar Boy of the Year. Everybody in the chat, everybody in this room, everybody who's watching, who is familiar with us, knows who one of the nominees is going to be, and that is one Jordan Goodwin, who we've already given Defensive Player of the Year. The reigning Blue Collar Boy of the Year. So to make this interesting, the other nominees are Colin Gillespie and Elsa Godaro.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we think is the biggest threat to dethrone the reigning Blue Collar Boy of the Year? Is it one of these two nominees, or is it someone else? Because Ryan Dunn has one to his name as well.
Yeah, he does. I'll start with the back end of the question that you posed, and who could threaten for that?
Mm-hmm.
Dillon Brooks, you have my attention. And you have my attention because you are a big villain. You are also someone that's going to benefit from the presence of Miles Bridges being in what we assume will be the starting lineup for the Suns. So how does Dillon maybe being a little bit closer to home in terms of where he garnered all of the league-wide attention as one of the better defenders, where that derived from, he's going to be a lot more closer to defending at home there versus having to guard up as consistently as he was tasked with last season. Now, he still did a fairly good job with that last year, but I do think that there was the slightest bit of a drop-off in what his impact is usually on that end versus what it was last season. You can also factor in that he did so much on offense that naturally is going to take away from one's tank of giving that he can do to the defensive end. So I think them being better balanced this upcoming season might just have Dillon Brooks back in that borderline defensive team candidate type of space defensively. And if he does that, that's going to come with all of the antics and all of the other things that firmly established him as one of the best blue-collar guys in the league.
It's a good one. That's a good one. Oso obviously on here. Colin
Yes.
on here as well. Somebody else said it could be Miles Bridges. Could he adopt that mentality and joining a new franchise? Him becoming more blue collar will allow this team to keep its identity to where it is, a standard that it has, one of the blue collarist teams in the NBA, because that is going to be a big key and a path to them finding success this upcoming season. Now we're going into our final. Coa Pete is another good nominee as well. Now we do have a super chat that we'll get to after our final break, and then we'll go into the rapid fire and have some fun as we wrap up here on the way too early 2026-27 PHNX Suns Awards. Steven, do you know what hat brand is the perfect blend of performance and style?
Might it be one that starts with a B?
A B, maybe a double B. Branded
a couple B's, yeah.
Bills and their gear. What allows you to stand out from the rest of the crowd? They've got you covered with the best custom headwear. If you're into that type of thing, you can start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel that you need. Snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, even tees. Again, they got you covered with both performance and style. You know that college football is coming up, and they have partnerships with 40 universities and colleges as part of their campus collection. We can get into which colleges and universities, but you know by now, my favorite school is repped, your favorite school is repped, and of course the local schools are repped, because Branded Bills is a local company out of Mesa, Arizona. So head to brandedbills.com right now and use the code BBPHNX15 to receive 15% off of your first order. We're high on the Suns, and you can get high with Pure Edibles. Founded in Arizona and available in 150 dispensaries statewide, Pure Gummies aren't covered in sugar like all of their competitors. In fact, Pure is a full-fledged candy company that offers gummies, Kicks, which is their version of Starburst Chews, which are soft candies like caramel, and hard candies. Pure Effects are clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly what to expect when you take one. Pure offers gummies for sleep support, as well as candies with uplifting effects derived from unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, and CBD with marijuana-derived THC. Pure gummies are designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable or easy to dial in your exact dose. So go find yourself some Pure edible products from one of the over 150 dispensaries across Arizona, now including True Leaf. Back here, winding down on the PHNX Suns show. A couple good comments that we're seeing right here. Spike, my vote for PHNX Suns Personality of the Year definitely goes to the Freckled Mamba. And yes, I am sitting next to the #1 Steven in sports broadcasting.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate
you, Tizdu, my man.
Ain't no debating that. We do have a super chat who from Broken Never Beaten. Always appreciate you having you here with us. 499 super chat, and you say a 6-year player making a big jump after being traded to a better situation is unrealistic. Quote Denny Avdija. That's a great point. It's a great point. I think the people who are detracting and saying Jalen Green can't become a different player or a new player or kind of evolve, break out of the cocoon, should look at Denny Avdija and what he's done with the Portland Trailblazers and to become that all-star that people probably wouldn't say he could become if they were watching him when he was with the Wizards. So a lot of that has to do with situation and coaching and team around him. So there are some parallels as far as that goes with Jalen Green as a former lottery pick making a leap like that.
Yeah, 100%. Because I was a big guy on Denny Avdija when he was with the Wizards. I didn't see him being this good,
Right?
Like dominant. That's different. So yes, that's just another example of when you're in a good situation that can accentuate but also uplift the things that you do well, and you also just get better individually, you buy into the situation you're in, you can look a lot different than you did seasons prior just off of things just kind of aligning, if you will.
Absolutely. We're all about our alignment. Now, we're aligned here. We'll see how aligned we are on this rapid fire awards section for this upcoming season. Basically, I'm going to throw out a category, and we'll all throw out who we think is going to be the winner of that. We'll start with a fun one. Which Suns player is going to deliver the dunk of the year this season?
Miles Bridges.
I am still hoping Jalen Green's going to have one that's just going to be unreal. Just like a top 3 dunk of his career. I think it's going to happen this year.
Ooh.
I'm going to say
top 3. That's a lot of comp right there.
I think it's going to be like something that, like he's going to jump clear over somebody. It's going to be something like that.
We talk about LeBron.
He's just clearing somebody, LeBron, John Lucas. I'm gonna go Rasheer Fleming.
Oh, okay.
Because he caught a couple last year. It's gonna be like a Rasheer Fleming, like crazy, like body to body throw in Rasheer Fleming, and it's crazy because of how many different guys are nominees for that. Because Ryan Dunn could very well turn in that dunk of the year.
He might be the most audacious of them all.
Well, yeah, he just tries everything. Because we talking about, he's like, man, we was in. He's like, yeah, I tried Wemby. I wish I got Wemby. It's like. Yeah. You know what? You have to have that mentality to do that. So that'll be fun.
Also, dark horse too.
Also, dark horse.
He goes in there
off the left to right drive,
Tough
boom
with
over
2
somebody.
hands,
I could see him getting Oso this year. In a similar vein, who's turning in the nastiest ankle breaker this year, and why is it Jalen Green?
I think Colin will be very sneaky in this conversation.
Okay,
he's deceptive. He's a self-aware king. But with that self-aware king dynamic, for sure, he likes to play off of the sneaky eyebrow fakes. So everybody's already kind of wanting to jump and contest his shot because they know how good he shoots the ball off the pull-up. I think he has a little bit more to his bag on playing off of knowing what defenders are anticipating and flipping that anticipation into making you look like a fool. So I'm going to go Colin on this one. But naturally, Jalen, because, that's an easy layup. Right
Sneaky there. Pat Spencer could get one, too. You got anybody you think? Jamari Bouye, another one? Aryton,
All right, walk with me, guys.
Talk to me. I already know you're going. Talk to me.
Catches the ball at the 3-point line. Kaman Malawach takes a nasty jab step, drops his defender off the jab step.
I thought we were leaning into a bit where Oso was the answer for everything, too. But I like that. I like that. I
think I will take this time to just suggest keep a close eye on Miles Bridges. He handles the ball a lot in the open floor because of the rebounds and grab and go dynamic of his game. He had a really good handle when he was at Michigan State. That hasn't left. It might be showcased more with the Suns, which leads to more opportunity for some stuff that we might see here.
Okay, that's interesting. This next one we got the first to 40. Now, last season, the Suns had 3 40-point scores. Grayson Allen was the first. Dillon Brooks was the second, and then Devin Booker did it in March against the Pacers. We were talking about that game. He had 43. Jalen Green had 36. A lot of candidates to go get you 40 since there are multiple 40-point scores. I think it'll be Devin Booker this year. Will be the first to get 40 for you this year. But who do you think? Could it be somebody else to get the first to 40? Jalen Green, perhaps.
What's Jalen's career high? Can you look that up real quick? That
Jalen
was something
Green,
I knew last season.
Yeah, I got you right
It
now.
slipped
While
my
you
mind.
state your case, we'll look into what Jalen Green's career high is. Jalen Green's career high, he's gotten 42 multiple times in his career.
Okay.
And last season, the season high was 36 in that game we
Yep.
just described. We just
Yep.
talked about.
I'm going to go with Devin
Okay.
because I think that Devin's pull-up prowess from deep in tandem with how he is manipulating whistle with getting to the free throw line, and he showed to do at a career high rate this past season. That's something that just really is consistently weighing on an opponent over the course of the game. And naturally, no one has a greener light than Mr. Booker. So I'm going with Book to get that first. But I'm curious what you think.
Book, I think, would be a sneaky opening week 40 ball. Last
I would
year,
love one just to start the season.
Last year he had 38 a couple weeks into the season,
Yep.
but I forgot about it. He had two 40-point games last season. They were in the same week. So it's 43 in Indiana on March 12th and then 40 in Boston on March 16th. And he was hooping in both of those games. And that was back. And I think a lot of the struggles that he had midseason were injury related. So he was in that mode to start the season. And then I think the groin started nagging him until he eventually actually missed time with it. I don't think he was really right until it got back to March because he had the hip thing coming out of All-Star and that impacted him for a little while. But then we saw Book in that mode. And I think through all of that, the ups and downs, he still averaged 26 a game this past season. But it does feel like it's one of Jalen or Book. Book seems like it's going to be the guy. Aryton, are you on the same page? And are there any dark horse candidates to go get you 40 this season?
I mean, you guys are right with Book and Jalen. I think the dark horse is if Dillon gets the hot hand and Booker or Jalen are both not feeling it, I think that's the only way. I think if everything aligns correctly, I think Dillon can do it.
What's Collins' career high?
Was it the 30? The game we had 30 in. Oh,
Was it against the Lakers?
I looked at Portland. I was thinking
Portland.
I was thinking the Portland game. We had
for sure.
eight threes and 8 assists.
Yep.
Collins' career high was 30 in that game. Okay. He was the guy I was going to say he messes around and like
he did. If he hits 10 threes,
right,
that gets you to 30 right there.
Right,
so,
exactly. So that would be somebody that I would think would be a guy. Do you think that we will see any Suns triple doubles this season?
We will see a
Who's
triple
going to turn
double.
that triple double in?
Miles Bridges.
Miles Bridges
We'll get a triple double this season. I think Miles gets two triple doubles this season.
Two triple doubles this season.
I think
for
he
Miles
does.
Bridges.
Some of it might be context dependent on injuries and things like that. But I do think that his playmaking mark in tandem with the rebounds and his ability to score is going to put a different type of pressure on the defense. And we'll probably see all of his overarching skill set come to the forefront more than the roles that he played when he was in Charlotte.
I can see a Devin Booker triple-double, sneaky Devin Booker triple-double.
He was close a few times this season.
Close a couple times. And I got to ask you, Aryton, do you think that we will see an Oso triple-double at some point?
I think that we are unfortunately one season removed from the Oso triple-double.
Okay.
But after that, when we get into the 28-29 season, that's when Russell Westbrook needs to watch out. So we're coming for that.
The next guy. Because I do think we're going to see like Oso's going to have like an 11-7-7 game this year.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, man, if he had a couple more minutes in this game, he might have gotten one of those. Or maybe it's a game against a weaker opponent and he could have one. Because Oso is too good at this point to be one of those guys who gets a triple-double like some of those guys at the end of the Jazz bench got last year. So he's too good for that. But we did see, it was like, who was it? Was it Bez and Bang last year that had triple-double for the Jazz? It was one of those guys that some crazy triple-double games like that.
Do you guys think that Booker is, I guess not Booker, I guess, is this team too large, too tall for Booker to get the amount of rebounds needed to get a triple-double? Because I feel like if he's in the conversation, he's getting more than 4 or 5 rebounds a game, probably.
It would have to be against. It had to be one of those games against a team like OKC where guards just tend to rebound more. And Jalen's gotten triple doubles in his career as well. Like I think he's got 2. He got in Houston, so it'd be again because like Jalen had a couple 6 or 7 rebound games. The assist part would be more difficult for him. But I can see Book just kind of a gang rebounding thing, and then I mean guys are humans, right? You see you got 6, 7, 8 rebounds, and you got 10, 11 assists. Let me go grab 1 or 2 more of those and round this out real quick. So
and there's a lot of good teammates on the field.
And they're like, oh yeah, go ahead. No Cristiano Felicios.
You got no Felicios. A whole lot more Steven Adams.
All right, as we wrap up here, my last one. Last year we saw the single game 3-point record shattered by Grayson Allen. We saw the single season 3-point record shattered by Colin Gillespie. Will we see another record or any record broken this year by any member of this Suns team?
I wonder what the Suns single season steal record is.
That's a good question.
Because for a team that forces a ton of turnovers, and some of the main culprits of why they forced so many turnovers to the third highest rate in the league last season. Jordan Goodwin had, I think, 103 in the regular season, and that was like top 7, top 8 in the league.
So the single season steals record in Suns history is 225 and 77-78 by Mr. Ron Lee, he averaged 2.7 steals per game that year. So that's overall 82. So whoever had to average, they have to average about 3 steals a game to break that.
That gets a little tougher when you look at how steep of a mountain that is to climb right there. Let me correct myself. Goody had he was at 106 last season. And what was the number? I said 103.
225. Yeah.
Okay, so forget what I was talking about. Forget what I was talking about because that's insane, bro. That's insane.
that's not
happening.
Maybe we see Mark Williams set the record for field goal percentage and get DA off the leaderboard. DA is all over that leaderboard, by the way.
That would be big for the Suns, and that would mean that him and Miles Bridges as a tandem is hitting to a certain level, as well as him and Devin Booker.
There you go. So DA has a record 63.4% from the field in 21-22. In the year before that, it was 62.6%.
Excuse me for thinking steals. The audacity on my end.
2.7 steals per game is definitely crazy.
I got a trivia question for you guys because I was thinking, come on, Watch for blocks, just as the future becomes the present was. So I searched it up. Who is the leader in Suns single season blocks per game?
Zero idea because I'm glad I didn't look. I scrolled by but did not see the name.
That's a great question.
I have no idea, so I'm just gonna throw a name out there. Amari, probably not because it wouldn't be a fun trivia question.
No, it's not Amari.
You're right with me, Tisdu. I feel that.
I don't even have a guess for this one.
This one, according to the Google AI overview, so grain of salt, of course. But Larry Nance, who recorded 217 blocks, which is 2.6 blocks per game.
Shout out to Larry Nance, man. Wow. I got it up here. Larry Nance was 1, Andrew Lang 2, Mark West 3, 4, Larry Nance 5, Amari 6 on there. So I got at least a top 10 answer. And Sean Marion in the top 10 as well, which, by the way, still never an all-defensive selection.
Crazy.
But that's still
crazy.
Very
insane.
Wild. Very wild. Hopefully you guys enjoyed these way too early awards as much as we did, and of course we always appreciate you hanging out with us here. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel on the way out, and then make sure to give the Freckled Mamba a follow at Freckled Mamba. Make sure to give Steven a follow at Steven PG3. Give me a follow at Gil McGregor with an underscore. Set my name the right way. And shout out to our diehards, by the way. We want to hear from you. It is Rank Week coming soon here at PHNX Sports. We're conducting a GOAT vote on the best hoops player of all time, best quarterback of all time, best athlete of all time, biggest Phoenix or Arizona villains in history, best uniforms in Arizona team history, and why it's those cloudy gray ones back there. You can only vote once. Make your voice heard. Voting closes on August 12th. Share your I voted sticker on social. Let us know you participated. If you're not a diehard, become a diehard. Vote and enjoy much, much more than just voting in this GOAT thing. And we're gonna reveal our results during Rank Week. I did it again. Like I have on a full kit. Rank Week, which kicks off on August 17th. But in the meantime, catch us at PHNX_Suns. Got way more fun stuff coming for you. We'll catch you back here same time, same place. And before that, actually, we're splitting because the Phoenix Mercury are about to play the Atlanta Dream, looking to continue to build in the Kelsey Plum era. So Steve and I will be back here post-game. So if you want to hang out with us some more, catch us after Mercury Dream, but catch us back here on PHNX Suns, same time, same place tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.